Method overriding is a feature of a language which allows superclass to have a specific implementation of a method that has already been provided by its superclass. For that, its name and type signature should be same. Type signature means that the number and type of argument of a method should be same. And if superclass object call the overridden method, then its superclass method would be called, and if subclass object call the overridden method, then its subclass version of the method would be called. Let us take an example and consider two classes A and B, where A is a superclass and B is a subclass. A has two members I and j, and B has a variable k. A provides a constructor which sets the value of I and j, and a show method which prints the value of I and j. Similarly, B has a method show. So as you can see, both of them has the same method and their type signatures also matches. When I call the show from B object, then the show of the B class would be called. So it prints k colon and the value of k. And if I call the show from the A class object, then the show of the A class would be called. Now let's move to our IDE. As told earlier, I have created three classes A, B and our main class method overriding. Both A and B has the same method show, as you can see. Now let me run the program. As you can see, the show of B class is called, which prints the value of k. If you want to call the show of A class, then it can be called from show of B class using the super keyword. So we just type super.show and running the program again, we can see that I colon 1 and j colon 2 is printed, which is in A show method, and after that k colon 3 is printed. One important point to note here is that if I change the type signature of a method, then it is not said to be overridden, it is actually overloaded. If I type int x here, then the class A does not have a method with the same signature as here, so they are not overridden. In Java, we can do runtime polymorphism or dynamic method dispatch through overriding. So, dynamic method dispatch is a mechanism by which a call to an overridden method is resolved at a runtime, and which version of that method is to be executed based upon the type of the object being referred to at the time the call occurs. One thing is important to remember, that a superclass reference can hold the subclass object. To show dynamic method dispatch, I have created two objects, A object and B object, and a reference here which has null value now. Initially, I assign the A object to reference and call the show method on that. Then the show of A class would be called. After that, I assign the B object to reference and call the show on that. Then the B class show would be called. To see that in action, I have to run the program. As you can see, reference now hold the A object and the show of the A class is called. After that, the reference hold B object and the show of B class is called.